Hello friends, welcome. In this video I'm going to create a Laravel REST API. So let's open my terminal. I have installed Laravel installer and also the Laravel Vue. So to create a project, I want to say, so let's zoom it. And I'm going to say, first let's navigate in my sites directory. And then because I have installed the Laravel installer, I can say just Laravel new and the name, and I'm going to name it REST-API. And now, also because I have installed the Laravel Vue, I can open this project in the browser by just adding the name REST-API.test. Like this, but we need to create the project first, and now if I refresh, yeah, we have the project. Good. Let's open this project in the VS Code. So cd in the REST-API and open with the VS Code. Okay, as you can see here in the .env, in the database name, we have REST_API based on the name. And you can go and create the database. I have created that. So I'm going to create the migration and model for the skill. I'm going to create a skills CRUD. So let's say artisan. And I have alias here for the PHP artisan, just a artisan make model. And I'm going to name it skill-m for migration. Okay, now let's open that migration inside the database, migration, the last one. And I'm going to add here the name and the slash. So let's say, and it's going to be string, both of them. So I'm going to say $table string for the name. Now let's copy this, paste down there and change the name to be Slack. Okay, save, close this one. And if I run now the artisan migrate, and I'm going to say fresh here. Yeah, we have the skills table, as you can see. I'm going to open also the table plus just to show you. So let's open the REST API, click open. And here we have skills. Right now is empty. Okay. Then let's go inside the app models, inside the skill model. I'm going to add here a protected $fillable. Is going to be equal with an array of our fields, which are the name in our case and the slash. Okay, let's save. And this is the same typical Laravel project. Now, because we are going to use API, I'm going to create a controller and routes, and the routes we are going to create inside the api.php, not in the web.php. Here is where you can register web routes for your application, and in the API, here is where you can register the API routes for your application. So we need API, we are going to register here. And let's remove this. Let's create the controller first. So I'm going to say artisan make controller. And I'm going to add the controller inside the API folder. And also I'm going to create the version 1 folder. And then let's say skill controller. Okay. Then in the API now let's register the route. And I'm going to say here a route group. And I'm going to add a prefix for the version 1. So prefix v1, and then let's add the closure. And inside this closure is going to be all our API roads for the version 1. So in our case, we have only the skills. We're going to have only the skills for right now. So let's say road, and we can create a road post, get, and so on one by one. Or if because we want to have a resource, we can use the API resource here and say skills and add the skill controller class here. Like this, hit save. Now, if I open the terminal and say artisan road list, hit enter. As you can see, we have get skills and we have this URL API slash version 1 slash skills. And the API is coming because we have registered the road inside the api.php. All the roads here is going to have this API in the URL. Then the version 1 is coming because we added the prefix, and also then we have the skills. Okay. Good. Now let's go in the controller, and I'm going to create the first method because as you can see here, we need the index, store, show, update, destroy. Now let's create the index method. And here I'm going to return a response JSON. And I'm going to say here an string skill index like this. If I save, now I'm going to use Insomnia as a client for this project. So let's open Insomnia here and let's create a new request. The method is going to be get. I'm going to name this skill index request. Now, as I said, I have the Laravel Vue. I'm going to use this for URL. And let's go to Insomnia, paste that in. But we need the API slash version 1 slash skills, as you can see here. So let's paste that in now. And if I say send, you can see we have 200 OK and skill index, what we return in the controller. Good. And you can see it's not that difficult to create a REST API with Laravel. Now let's store a new skill, because right now we don't have skills here. So to create a skill, we are going to create a new request. The method is going to be post. I'm going to copy the URL because it's the same, just here we have post. Now let's go and create the store method in the controller, because the store method is for the storing a new skill. So let's say method store, and we can use the request default request, or we can create a custom one, the same we used in the initial projects with Laravel. So this is very good. We can use also custom here in the API. Let's go and create one. So I'm going to say artisan make request, and let's name it store skill request. Okay, and I'm going to use that one here. So store skill request as a request. And now we can say here, call the skill model, and make sure you have imported up here. Say create, and we need to add here the request validated data. Only the validated data is going to be here. Now, what is the validated data? Let's go to this one, skill store skill request, change the authorized to be true. And we need to validate the name and the flag. So let's say name. And for me, the name is going to be required. I'm going to add the minimum and maximum values. So let's say minimum of 3 characters and maximum of 20. For the slug, I'm going to say the slug is going to be required and is going to be unique. Unique to the skills table, and the column is slug. Except the ID I'm going to remove for now. Let's save and let's close this. Now, after we creating the skill, I'm going to return skill created like this. Let's go and let's see now what we are going to get in the insomnia. If I just send request here, we have 200, and that's okay. Maybe you say, why is that okay? We need to go in the headers and add headers here. I'm going to add the accept to be application JSON, and also let's add a content type to be also application JSON. Now let's send again that skill, and now we have 422 message. The slug field is required. And why is only the slug is required? You can see here we have a dot. Let's add comma, and now click send. Yeah, the name field is required and the slug field is required. Very good. Let's go to the body and let's say I'm going to add a JSON here. We need the name, which is going to be, let's say, Laravel. And for the slug, I'm going to say also Laravel with camel case. So let's say Laravel like this. If I send the request, now we have skill created. And also if we go in the database and refresh, we have the skill. Very good. If I change that to be Vue JS, also Vue JS here, maybe like this, click send, skill created again, and refresh, we have Vue JS. Very good. So we created the skill. Now let's update that skill. Let's create a new HTTP request, and this post, let's rename that to be skill store request. This one is going to be skill update request. The method is going to be put or patch, what you like. So let's say put for now. Let's copy this URL, go to the put and paste that in. Now we need the ID here. Okay, I'm going to give it the ID 1, which is the Laravel. Now let's go here and create the update method. So let's say method update, and we need inside here the request, and I'm going to use the same request. So let's say store skill request $request, and we need the skill ID, or let's use the route model binding by adding the skill $skill here. Very good. And now we can say $skill update the request validated here. And also let's return response JSON and say not created now, but updated. So skill updated. Let's save and let's go here in the headers, the same add accept to be application JSON and also add the content type to be application JSON. Like this, go to the body, select the body to be JSON, and let's say the name I'm going to say is going to be Laravel ... and the slug is going to be also Laravel ... like this. Now let's send the request. Skill updated. Let's go here and let's refresh this. As you can see, we updated the name in the slug. Very good. Now let's say I want to update only the name, not the slug. I'm going to say like this and click send. Oh, we have 422. The slug has already been taken because we say in the request the slug is required and also is unique to the skills and the name slug. And that's it, okay, but it's okay only for the store method, not for the update method. And we use the same request for both, for the store and for update. We can create another request, or we can use that, and instead of something like this, we can say, let's add comma here, dot, and I won't accept this skill ID. So it's going to be unique except this skill ID. Let's save and let's run again now. The same, send request, and now we have skill updated. And if we go and refresh, we can see the name is updated, but the slug no. Let's update also the slug here, only the slug, Laravel, and refresh. As you can see, update only the name and refresh. Yeah, that's okay. This is one way, or another way is by I'm going to comment this and say the slug is going to be required, and I'm going to add the rule here. Sorry, rule. Import the rule from Illuminate validation, and I'm going to say rule unique. Let's use unique here, unique to the skills. So here is the table, as you can see, and now I want to ignore this skill. So let's ignore $sign this skill, and let's save and let's see how it's going to look, how it's going to work. Now I want to show you, if I refresh, we have ... in the name and the Laravel slug. And I want to remove the name here and say send, skill updated. We have 200, and if I go here and refresh, the name updated and the slug is remaining. So it's up to you what you like, something like this, or using the rule unique like this. Okay, let's close this. And now we have the updated method. What we need other in here, get, post, put. Let's create one more for the show. So let's rename this to be skill show request. Let's copy this URL from here and paste it. The method is going to be get. Okay, and let's go in the VS Code and create that method. I'm going to create after the index, and let's say method here show. We need here the skill, so let's use route model binding skill $skill, and I'm going to return for now just the skill like this. And let's save and let's send the request. As you can see, we have an object with ID name / created at and updated at. What we have in here, ID name / created at and updated at. But maybe we don't want to send all the fields we have to the front end, to the client. For that, with Laravel is very easy. We can send JSON data by creating a resource. So let's go to the iterm and I'm going to say artisan make resource, and I'm going to add this resource inside the version 1, and let's say skill resource like this. Hit enter. Now instead of returning the skill, I'm going to return this skill resource we just created, and let's say return the skill resource we created, but I want to return the new instance of this one. So let's say new skill resource, and I'm going to add $skill here as an argument to this skill resource. And let's save. Let's go and make a get request. And as you can see, now we have an object, and inside that we have the data with an object that has the same ID, name, / and created at and updated at. But as I said in the previous, maybe we don't want to show all the fields in the front end. For that, we created this skill resource. Now let's go here and let's say I want only to show the ID, name, and the /. Here when we have the, and maybe let's see here. Okay. And here when we have a return parent, the array, and add in the request, I'm going to specify an array what we want to return. So I want to return the ID, which is going to be $, this ID. And this is the skill we added in here. Then I want to show also the name, which is going to be $this name, and also the /, which is going to be $this /. Let's save, and if I make a send request, a get request again, yeah, we have a data just with ID, name, and the /. And I think this is very good. Now, also, if you don't want the / and you want the full URL for this skill, we can say, let's cut this and say route skills show and pass here the skill / like this. And let's save and let's go and make a send request now. As you can see, we have this HTTP REST API test API /version 1 and so on. Okay, and now you can play here with, for example, not slug, but say URL. And let's save, click send. And yeah, we get the URL here. Maybe not name, but let's say skill name. And as you can see, we can play with that. Okay. Now let's go in the skill index, because here we just say skill index, but I want to display all the skills. And for that, in the skill controller, here we can say return this skill resource, but now not a new instance, but a collection of that. So let's say skill resource, a collection static method, and add here all the skills. So let's say skill all, like this. Click save. Let's go and let's say send. And now we have an object with data which has an array of all the skills. And right now we have only two. So we have one here and one here. And that is okay. We can say also here paginate. Let's say paginate 1. Send the request. And now you can see we have paginate 1. So we are going to show only one for the page. And we have a data. We have an object, only one skill. Then we have links. First, last, previous, and next. First URL, last URL, and the next URL. Then we have a meta here, current page, from, last, and also we have the links. For the previous, we have the URL, and right now it's null because we are in the first page. Active is false. Then we have the URL for the current page, which is page 1. We have a page 2, and also then the page 2 we have next, but is false if we are in the second page. And then we have a path per page. We show only one, and totally which are 2. So we have all the meta we need to create a pagination, as you can see. And that is one way. Another way is by creating a collection. So let's go in the item, and instead of creating a resource, I'm going to create a skill collection. Very good. And now in here, I'm in the index. I'm not going to return the skill resource collection, but I'm going to return new skill collection and add that one, and click send. We have the same thing. So the skill collection is going to do the same thing the skill resource static collection method does. Good. Now the last thing, we need to delete the skill. Let's create the request, and I'm going to name skill delete request. The method is going to be delete. Let's copy the URL, paste it here. Let's go and create the method in the controller by saying method destroy now, and we need the skill. So let's say skill $, skill. Let's delete the skill. So skill delete. And then I'm going to return a response, or we can return another page, but I'm going to say skill deleted. Let's save, and if I make we have the skill 1, so let's say skill 2 for now. Come here and refresh, we have 1 and 2 as you can see, and I'm going to delete this. So let's go and click send request, skill deleted, we have 200, and if I refresh, yeah, let's delete the first one, send request, skill deleted again, and refresh, we don't see any skills. And that's it, how we can create a Laravel REST API, get, post, put, patch, get a single one, and delete. Here we have the controller with index, show, store, update, and destroy, the resource, and we have created the skill resource, skill collection, and store skill request. And that's it, how we can create a Laravel REST API. Hope you enjoy, and if you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and see you in the next video, friends. All the best. Hello friends, welcome. So in the previous video, we created the Laravel REST API, and I have used the insomnia to make a get request, post request, and so on. Now in this video, I'm going to create a Vue JS project and use that Laravel API and make a CRUD for skills. So here in the insomnia, we have made the skill get skills, all the skills, and we have empty data, and we have links because we in the controller. So let's open HTTP controllers API skill controller. We return paginate. Let's remove this because I'm not going to create pagination, and let's say all to return all the projects, all the skills, sorry. And now we have an empty data. Good. Let's go and make and create a new skill. So in the post request, send skill created. Now if I come here, we have one data, and also as you can see, I have changed the name to be skill name and the Slack to be URL. So let's go and also change them back to name. Just I want to know, here is the name and here is the Slack, not the URL what we are going to create. We can leave it like this, but just I think it's more okay that. And we can update, of course. So if you come here, you can see we have Laravel ... and Laravel. Send again, we have name Slack React. And if I update now to the Laravel ... and Laravel, send skill updated, come here, we have React, but if I click again, yeah, we updated and we can delete. So let's send, go now, and yeah, not found because we deleted that. Good. Okay, now let's open my iterm. I think I have here, and let's say npm init view at latest. Hit enter. Give it the name of Vue REST API. No TypeScript, no JSX. Yes, Vue router. No piña, and no. CD in the REST API now. Sorry, the Vue REST API. npm install. And then run the npm run dev. But first I'm going to open the project with VS Code. And then let's run the And then let's run the npm run dev. And as you can see, by default, the Vite is coming with the port 5173. If you don't like that, you can change in the vite.config.js. So here we can add server, and we need to change the port, for example, the 3000. Save this, and yeah, now we have the 3000. Let's go in the browser and let's navigate in the localhost 3000. Here is our project. Okay, we need to make some changes here. So first I'm going to go in the app.vue and remove this component here, remove the image, remove the hello world, and also the styles here. I'm going to install Tiling CSS. Go to the components because I'm going to remove all of them. Let's say delete. In the views, we have the about view. We don't need that. So let's delete this. And I'm going to leave the home view. Let's remove this from here and the welcome also here. And inside the router index, yeah, now we don't have that. So let's change the home view for now. Like this. Just to not have an error. Yeah, we have only home and about. Okay. Go to the assets, delete the base and the logo. And go to the mine CSS, select all and delete them. Okay, now I want to install the Tiling CSS to this project. So let's open tilingcss.com, get started. Choose the framework guide. We use Vite and also we use Vue. Let's run this npm install Tiling CSS, post CSS and auto prefixer. So I'm going to terminate and paste that in. Then npx Tiling CSS init. Okay. Then we need to add these 2 lines in the content inside the tiling config. So here inside the content, save, then add the base components and utilities inside the styles, in our case in the mine CSS. And the last thing is to run npm run dev. So let's go here, npm run dev, and I have an alias for that, just like this. And open the, yeah, we have some changes as you can see. Now let me go in the app, and instead of something like this, I'm going to give it a class of max with the B7XL, MX auto. And if I come here, yeah. Also this router view I'm going to cut and paste in the main with the class max with 7XL MX auto, and I'm going to give it a min edge of screen like this and paste that. Let's go inside the index, and here in this div I'm going to give it a class bg slate 200. Close, go to the browser, and yeah, we have something like this. Okay, now let's start and work. I'm going to leave it the home view just to be home like this. And as I said, the about is not going to be about, it's going to be skills. The name is going to be skill index, but let's go in the views here and I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to name it skills. And here I'm going to create the skill index dot view the skill create dot view and also the skill edit dot view. Okay, now let's go in the index here and the name is going to be also skill index. You can name it what you like. I want to name like this. And now let's import inside the views. We have the skills and then the skill index. Okay, let's remove this commented here. And let's copy this, paste 2 times. This is going to be skills / create. Also here we need to change that to be skill create for the name and also skill create the component. Here the same thing, we need here to be skills and we need the ID and then edit and change the component which is going to be skill edit. Okay, I think we are okay right now. Let's go and see if we have any errors. No error. Yeah, we don't have the about. Where is this about coming from? It's coming maybe from here. Yeah, we need to say skills and skills here. Refresh, and now we are okay. We need to add some styles here. So let's say just add the class to be margin or px4 and py2. I'm going to give it a margin right of 4 and let's say bg indigo 600 on hover to be bg indigo 700 or 800. Okay, and I'm going to say rounded like this. Let's save and let's see how it's going to look. Something like this. Oh, we need to say also the text to be white. Text white. Very good. And let's do the same thing for this one. Yeah. In the nav now, I'm going to add a class to be margin 2 and padding 2. Only padding. Yeah. Okay, friends. Now if I click here, we navigate to the skills and we don't have any error, but we don't have the template as you can see here. So let's go in the skill index and I have a shortcut to create a Vue script with setup and template here and save. Now refresh. We are okay. And let's do the same thing for create. So v setup and save, and in the skill edit, v setup save. Okay, now we need, when we go to the skills, I'm going to display a table here to get the skills and make a call to the REST API Laravel. So the same we make in here and get all the skills and display them in the table. I'm going to use style in CSS for the styles. And when we add the button also to navigate to the skills create and create a new skill. And also the buttons to edit and delete skills. But all the logic I'm going to do in the, we can do in the views here. So in seal index, we can make all the logic here, but I'm going to make the logic inside the, I'm going to create the composables only for the skills. So let's go inside the source and I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to name it composables. And here, let's create a new file. I'm going to name it skills.js. And here, what we need. Let's first create the composable. To create a composable, let's say export default the function, and we need to give it a name. Okay, and for the name is the common convention to say use and then the what name you like. So use, I'm going to name it skills. Okay, and then what we need here, we need also to return an object with the properties we need to import, for example, in the skill index or create and edit. So what we need here in the, for the logic, we need first, as I said, when we come here, I want to get all the skills and display in the table. So we need the skills. For that, we need to import the ref from Vue. So let's say import a ref from Vue. And now let's say here, I'm going to create a constant to be skills, going to be equal with a ref, and initially it's going to be an empty array. Good. Next, I'm going to create also another constant for single skill. And let's say equal the ref and an empty array again. And let's start with them and we are going to see the work. So I'm going to create a constant and say get skills is going to be equal with async function. And we are going to use Axios here. So let's say open the terminal inside and I'm going to say npm install Axios like this. Close. And now we need to import the Axios also here. Import Axios from Axios. And make a call. We need to make a call to this URL. So let's copy and say const response to be equal with await Axios dot get and give it the URL, which is this URL. Then I'm going to say skills and dot, we need to access the value because the skills is the ref here, reference skill dot value is going to be equal with response dot data dot data again, because we have data returned from Laravel resource. Okay, now here I'm going to make also a get skill, to get single skill. So let's say const get skill is going to be async, and here we need the ID to get a single skill. So let's add the ID, and let's say await axios dot get and the URL. Now for the URL, instead of repeating this, I'm going to cut this one and go up here and say axios dot default dot base URL is going to be equal with this URL here, and then we just say get skills down there, just get skills, and we need also the ID, so plus the ID we have here, and we need also to create a constant response to be equal with that one, and then we say a single skill dot value, because is a ref, it's going to be equal with a response dot data dot data. Okay, so we have skills and get skills. We need to store a new skill. So let's create that. Const, and I'm going to name it store skill. You can name it what you like. It's going to be equal with an async function. And in here, we need the data we are going to send. So store skill, we need the name and the slug. And we're going to name it data here. And also we are going to look for the errors if we have errors. So let's say try and catch, try, and then catch if we have any error. And if we have, I'm going to check first if the error dot response dot status, if error response status is for choo-choo, I'm going to say, let's create the const for errors up here, const errors to be equal with a ref, and I'm going to assign with an empty object. And now down here, I'm going to say errors dot value is going to be equal with error dot response dot data dot errors, like this. And if we don't have an error up here, we can say await axios post, axios dot post, and we want to post to this URL. So we have here post, just we need to add the skills, and we need to add the data here. Okay, now after we create in the post, we need to return back to the skill index, because this store skill we are going to use in the store create page, and then we are going to return to the index. So let's say we need the router here, so let's import the router. Import the use router from Vue router, Now let's create a constant here and say const router is going to be equal with use router, like this. And here we can say router push, router dot push, and where we want to send that, we want to send to the skill index. So let's give it a name, which is skill index. And also I'm going to await this. And I think we are okay with store skill. So we get the skills, get single skill, and store skill. Now we need to update and delete. So let's come down there and say create a constant. I'm going to name it update skill, which is going to be equal to an async function. And also here we need the ID and the data to update the skill. But for the data, I'm going to use the skill, because when we go to the skill edit, I'm going to make a call get skill and then display the skill name and slack. So for that, we are going to use that skill. I'm going to show you, so just don't worry. Update skill, and I'm going to say try and catch again here, try, and then catch for the errors if we have any error. So let's say error, the same thing as up here. If we have any errors, if the error status is true, we are going to say errors.value error response data.errors. Now we're going to try first to send the request. So say await axios dot, I'm going to say put, and the URL is skills slash plus the ID we have here, and we need the data as I said, but here we are going to add what we have in the skill dot value. Okay, and when we are updating, again we are going to return to the skill index. So let's paste that in. I think we are okay now. The last one is to delete the skill. So let's come here and say constant. Let's name it destroy skill. Also, this one is going to be a async function. We need the ID to delete that. And let's say await axios dot delete. Give it the URL, which is skills slash the ID plus ID here. And when we delete in these skills, now we need to update all the skills. So we need to call the get skills again. So let's say again await and get skills. And also if you want to show pop-ups, so let's say here if window.confirm are you sure? Okay. And return. So if we we're going to say console is going to return, otherwise it's going to send that. And I think we are okay now. So destroy, update, store, get single one, and get all of them. Skills, single skill, errors, router. Let's return now them because we need to import in the skill index, create and edit. So down there we can say return skills, single skill, all the skills, get single skill, get all the skills, store skill, update skill, and I think we have the delete skill. Oh yeah, and the error, so delete. Oh, destroy, sorry, destroy skill and the errors. We are going to return all of them. And now let's go and see if we don't have any error. No. I'm going to open flowbyte.com just to copy the table and display in the skills. So go to docs, and I think we have the table somewhere. Yeah, tables. And let's copy this, the first one, the default one. So let's copy, go in the skill index, and inside the template, I'm going to add a div with a class to be margin top of 12 and paste that table in. Let's save and let's go and see. Yeah, and we have something like this. Okay. Now we need to get the skills there in the index and display, make a v4 and display all the skills. So first let's go up here. Here we are in the template. In the setup, I'm going to import the use skills from skills, the composables, and I'm going to also import the onMounted from Vue, and then I'm going to detract what we want in the skill index from the use skills. I'm going to say const what we need here. We need all the skills. We need also the get skills because we are going to call here. And that's it, I think. For now, let's say use skills. That's coming from the use skills. And now onMounted, I'm going to call that get skills here. And let's see if I save this. And let's go and refresh. Go to the view, skill index. We have skills, but we right now is empty, I think. Let's go and go to skill index. Click send. Yeah, we have an empty skill. Let's go and create one. Say Vue JS here. One more and the Laravel. Also for the slug, Laravel. And now let's go to the skill index. We have 3 of them. Refresh. And yeah, we have 3 skills in our skill index. Now let's go and make a v4 inside the table. We need to display the name and the slug. So let's say name slug, remove this one and remove the price here. This is going to be because we are going to add the edit and delete buttons there. So I'm going to remove this one here and these two. And I'm going to say v4 skill in skills. We need to add the key, which is going to be skill.id, and here display the skill name. And let's copy and paste this, change the name to be slug, like this. And if I save, go and refresh, yeah, we have the name and the slug, and we need to add also one more for the delete, edit and delete. So let's copy and paste, and let's say right now just edit/delete. Okay, we have something like this, and I think we are okay right now. Now we need to add a button here and go to the skill create and create a new skill. So let's work with that. In here, I'm going to add a div with the class to be flex, and I'm going to say justify and margin 2 and padding 2. And then I'm going to add a router link. It's going to go to the, we need to bind this because I'm going to use name, router link to name, which is a skill create, I think is. Let's go inside the index. Yeah, skill create. So give it the name skill create. Okay. We need to give it some classes, but let's leave it for now like this. And let's say a new skill, I'm going to say. And I think we need to add a single quotes here. Refresh, we have that new skill, just we need to design a little bit. So let's give it some classes. And I'm going to say px for py2. Let's give it a bg indigo 500. On hover, we're going to change that to be bg indigo 700. Text is going to be white, and I'm going to give it some rounded classes. Rounded like this. And let's see, like this. Okay. And as you can see, when we hover, we say here skills create. Now if I click, we navigate to the skills create, and in the skill create right now, just let's say here create, and yeah, we are in the create. Good. Let's go and come here to the form inputs, because we need to create a form. And I'm going to select this default input here. Let's go and create a form. So inside here, I'm going to add a div first. So let's say div with a class to be margin top 12. And inside, let's paste the form. And for now, just add the form, and then we are going to design that. I'm going to give it a div inside the form with a class to be space y of 6, and paste that input 2 times. Let's save and let's see what we are going to get. Yes, something like this. And we need to change this a little bit. So in the form, I'm going to give it some classes. So let's say class to be max with MD. I'm going to give it an MX auto and padding of 4. Let's give it a BG white. I'm going to give it also the shadow MD and rounded MD. And let's save. And yeah, we have something like this. Now we need only to add the button. And let's go in the skill index. And I'm going to copy the classes we have here because we are going to do the same. After this div, let's say a div with a class margin top to be 4 and paste that. Oh, sorry, we need to say a button first. Button with class and let's say store. Save. And we have this kind of form here. Okay, now we need to create a form. So for that, I'm going to import from Vue. Now we can use ref or reactive, what you like. So let's use reactive. And let's create a constant form to be equal with reactive. And we need to create a name, which initially is going to be empty. And slug also initially an empty string. Then we need to send that form. So when we click to this, we are going to say on submit, call the store skill. And the store skill is going to come from the skills composable. So let's import that. Import use skills. And from the use skills, we are going to extract what we want. So let's say const. And here we want the store skill. And also we want the errors because we need to display the errors. People with use skills. Okay. And here we are going to say store skills and add the form. Okay, now label for, let's say label for a name, not default input, but name here. And in the input, ID is going to be name. And let's say now v model form dot name. Okay, let's go down and say label for slug. Let's say slug here, not ID in default input, but ID slug. And let's add the v model to be form dot slug. Like this. Let's say type submit to this button. And I think we are okay now. On submit, we need to say also the prevent, not to prevent the reloading, and we are okay. I think. Oh, we need to show the errors as well. But let's go here and click send. We have only 3. Let's try now if we can create a new skill. I'm going to say test and test. Say store. And we redirected back, very good. And we have also the skill, as you can see. Okay, and if I open and click send, Yeah, we have the very good. We don't have any errors. Okay. Now let's display the errors, because if I just say send, we have 42 and nothing happened here. So in here, when we have the label, let's close this. We have the input for the name. After this, I'm going to say, let's add the div, and let's say here, not class, but v if the errors dot name, if we have an error for name, I want to display a span. And why we go there? So let's I don't know. So if we have that, I'm going to say a span and say a class to be, first give it a text to be small, and then text red 400. And inside, let's say errors dot name, and give it the first one in the array. And let's copy this div here and do the same thing on the second one. So down there, just change from name to be slug. We need to check for the slug. Let's save it. Let's go up here and refresh. Click store. Okay, cannot read properties of undefined name. Errors.name. Very good. So we check if the errors have name, but yeah, we have imported the errors from the use skills. When we store skill, we say errors dot value errors response dot errors, and I think we have the same thing here. Save and reload here. Go to the console, say store, and now we have the name field is required. The slug field is required. Let's say test 2 here, but for the slug, I'm going to give it the same slug. And we in the Laravel, we check for the unique. So let's say now, say store. Yeah, the slug has already been taken. Let's say test 2, store, and now we have that. Okay, very good. I think we are okay with the store. Now let's work with the edit and delete. We are in the skill create. Everything okay. Let's go to the skill index. And here, let's work with a button down there when we have delete. And I'm going to copy that, the button we have here. Or we need a link, not a button. Just copy the class. And let's go in the skill index and say, remove this and say here, router link. And it's going to go to the name skill edit. And now here we need to add params. So let's say params is going to be an object where the ID is skill, not the kill, but skill dot ID. And let's give it some classes. We need to paste that, what we have here, and say edit like this, click save. And yeah, we have the edit, but maybe just change from indigo to be green. Yeah. And I'm going to add the button now. After this one, let's add a button. With that class and say delete. Okay. And I'm going to say also here, or up here, I'm going to say space x2 like this. Change the color to be red. And I think we are okay now. If I click the edit, we navigate in the skills to edit. Let's go to the skills. Let's go to this one, skills for edit and so on. Okay, let's go now and work with the skill edit. I'm going to copy the form we have in here. So, or let's copy all the div. Let's copy all the div and paste it inside the template. But we need to make changes, of course. But first, let's import what we want here. We don't want the store, but we want to update. Update skill. So let's import here. Use skills. And also unmounted, import unmounted from Vue, because as said, when we update a skill, we are going to add here the skill.value. So in the skill edit, we are going to make a call to get single skill. And if we make a call, we assign the skill value to this response, so we have a skill. And in here, we are going to get from the distract from the use skills, the skill is single one, also the get skill, the update skill, and also the errors like this. And now let's say unmounted, call the get single skill, but here we need the ID. We can access the ID. We can, because in the index.js we say here skill edit, we added the ID, and we can add also props to be true. With that, now if I save and let's go up here, and I'm going to say const props, not like this, but props like this is going to be equal with define props, which is going to be an object, and we need only the ID here. We accept only ID, which is going to be required for sure. We need that. So true, and let's give it a type of string. And then we can say here props.id. Okay, now down there when we say vmodel, not form name, but skill.name, because now when we make a unmounted, we call the get skill, and this method is going to assign the data with this skill. And we display the skill name, and down there the skill flag. Here now, when we say update skill, not form, we call the update skill, but we need to add the skill. We need to add the ID, sorry, not the skill, because in the update skill, we accept only the ID here. So let's go and say we need to add the ID. We can get the ID from the route. So we can say $route dot params dot ID to get the ID here. Now if I refresh, okay, what is this version skills? Yeah, we need to add in the skills the get single skill. We need to add here slash and to refresh. And yeah, now we have Laravel here. Go to the skills. Let's select this test 2. We have test 2. Good. Skill edit, and on click we say update. For the errors we display them. Just let's see if I leave it empty. Store the skill is required, and if let's refresh, we have test 2, and let's update only the name. So let's say dot here, and yeah, we updated everything. Okay, let's go and edit again, and I'm going to change this to be test 2, so just test, and this is used here, so we're going to get an error. So let's say something like this, and let's go back to test 2. Store, the slug has already been taken. If I say test 2 like this, store, and yeah, everything okay. We are okay with update, with errors. Now let's work with delete. Let's go to the skill index. And when we delete, on delete, we are going to call the destroy skill. And here we need the ID. So let's go up here and let's import that. So let's import the destroy skill. And down there on the button, we are going to say add click, call the destroy skill, and add here the skill ID. Let's save with only that. We have imported the destroy skill. Okay, refresh. And let's delete this. Yeah, are you sure? No. Okay, nothing happened. Are you sure? Okay. Yeah, we updated the skills. And again, okay, I think we are good now. So we display all the skills. Go to the home first. Skills. We display all the skills here. We can create a new skill. Let's say test, store. Okay, click edit. If I remove, we have the errors. And if I update, just say dot here. We have both of them. Let's go back to test, and let's go back here. Okay, we need to change that, not store. So in the skill edit, the be update the button like this. Okay. And now for the delete, as you saw, we can delete. That's it about this video, friends. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. All the best.